Hey, what's going on, fam? It's that man, Taj Jacobs, and I'm back at you once again with another video. So listen, fam, we are going to call this video Attention is the New Currency, right? Now, why did I name this video Attention is the New Currency? Well, listen, over the weekend, I was having a conversation with my little youngin' about the difference in people's attention span, like compared to today and when I was 11 years old, right? And in the conversation, I explained the differences in how many channels that we have compared to the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, today, etc., right? So, and also, along with how many channels, we have to factor in how many screens have evolved to be in the homes, right? So let's take you through this journey. So in the 70s, there were mainly 3 channels and 1 television set in the home. And then overnight, you've had that little colorful screen that didn't really play anything but that annoying noise that you had to turn the TV off. And about 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when the program started over again, right? And then, things evolved a little bit in the 80s, to where there was about 12 channels. Same thing, overnight, they would play that annoying, colorful screen. You had to turn the TV off, right? So then we get to the 90s, right? The 90s is where things have evolved to, you have big screen TVs, and you had about 50 channels on cable. And even with those 50 channels, I can remember having to skip a lot of channels. So it wasn't just 1 through 50. It was like 2, 3, 5, 6, 10. And, it would skip a lot of channels. So maybe it wasn't really 50. We can say it's 40 maybe, or even 30. But you can see the evolution, right? And you might have had one big screen TV downstairs and then another TV upstairs. But for the most part, most people had the TV downstairs with the cable attached to it, right? And no cable upstairs, right? So look, when we get to the 2000s, right? The 2000s evolved to hundreds of channels. And I can remember having either Comcast or DirecTV. They used to have those packages to where you had 100 channels, you get 200 channels, you can get 400 channels. You can even you could get up to like 1,000 channels, but even then, a lot of them would skip. It would go from 100 or 1. Oh no, everything started from 2. Nothing started at 1. So it would skip hundreds and hundreds. So we would say it was hundreds in the 2000s. And now, fast forward to 2021, we have millions of channels, right? So listen, there was a study done back in the early 2000s, and that basically explained how our attention spans used to be about 20 minutes back in the 80s and the 90s, right? 20 minutes back in the 80s and the 90s. By the early 2010s, our attention spans fell to the same as a goldfish, which was 9 seconds. And, I'm explaining these things to my son, and he, in his head, he's like, 20 minutes? That's a long time. I'm like, yeah, it is a long time if you think about it. And then he made this great point. He thinks that our attention spans now are 1 second. It's down to 1 second. And I had to think about it. Like, I think you're right. Because he basically said that when he's scrolling through TikTok or one of those social media sites for kids, I don't know if TikTok's really for kids, but a lot of kids are on TikTok. So When you're scrolling through there, you're scrolling. If you're something that you don't like, you're gonna scroll fast, really fast. You see something you like, you're gonna stop. Gonna stop for the 10-second clip or 30-second clip or minute clip, right? It's got to be really good for you to stick around for a minute, because a lot of people don't like to stick around for that minute. They want to scroll. They want to go on to the next. Boom, 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 right? So, yes, today, let's argue. Our attention spans are down to 1 second compared to the 90s, when our attention span was 20 minutes. That is insane, right? So you got to think of this evolution, the evolution of our channels and how many screens we are having in the home. And at the time, I told him, I said, hey, count how many screens do we have here right now in this one room? And he counted 3 screens: the main TV screen, my computer screen, and my phone screen. So that's 3 accesses to millions of channels, right? So listen, I think about when I think about TikTok and I think about social media stories, they are designed to either make us laugh, think, cry, or block somebody, right? Like, and you got to do that really fast in certain presentation, or else you're gonna get blocked, right? And when I argue that there are millions of channels, because when you start a YouTube page and you start posting content on that page, that YouTube page is known as a channel, and you can literally go on somebody's YouTube channel and binge watch their videos for hours and hours if they have consistent content, right? Follow me here. And there are millions of YouTube channels. I don't care if they're good or not. Just think, there are so many channels out here that you can pick and choose who you want to subscribe to. You can pick and choose who you want to watch. The same thing with just regular TV now. You have Amazon Prime, Netflix. You got all of these channels that you can pick and choose what movie you want to watch, what show you want to watch. You can binge watch a series of shows. So there's millions and millions of things going on these screens that are fighting for our attention, right? You see, what's weird is about this whole thing, I once had a guy try to argue with me that people are desperate for attention these days, and that people need to stop looking for validation through attention. And then I argued that in order to get what you want, you have to get somebody's attention, right? So think about things like dating. Like, to get the guy or the girl you like, you first got to get their attention. You got to present yourself in a way that they're going to pay attention to you, right? And in however many seconds you get their attention, you got to tell them whatever they need to hear in order for the connection to happen, right? Same thing in the job market. There are so many people applying for jobs, so many people with skills, and you have to learn how to stand out in how you present your resume. See, I once read this book that gave a whole bunch of unique ways to send in your resume to stand out from the crowd, because most people are just going to email their resume, or they're going to mail it in, or going to give it to them on the interview, right? And nowadays, most things are done online. So in my mind, if you do something that's out of the box offline, then you're going to stand out, right? That's the catch with all of this stuff. That's the catch. It's interesting. It's like if you're selling anything, you have to have the right package, and you have to be deemed presentable and trustworthy and valuable. in somebody's eyes in order for them to buy what you're selling, right? So this all takes attention. Attention is the new currency, right? Think about this. Right? Think about this. I've been following Gary Vee for a long time, and he's been talking about brand. All he's talking about is brand, right? And it totally makes sense now. Like back when he first started, I know people thought he was crazy, but branding is so important because people want to know who you are and what you do. They want to associate a feeling or something to you. And if they can't connect to you, then you're done, right? You don't have their attention. Somebody else does, right? And just think about things like McDonald's. Think about McDonald's, right? Although McDonald's is so toxic and they lack nutrition, they are still on every kid's mind from sunup to sundown. They're even on healthy people's minds because healthy people want to stay away from McDonald's. But they still know McDonald's, right? That is superior marketing and branding. I think they have the number one real estate in the world, next to the Catholic Church. So think about all of this. Attention is the new currency. And in order to get what you want, you have to get somebody's attention. It's no way around it. Our eyes for BS is getting shorter, but our hunger for real authenticity and great presentation is getting heavier. You wonder why a lot of fake stuff is here one day and gone the next, right? Oh, people enjoy it for a little bit, yeah, we happy, but it's gone the next. Only the real stuff is gonna last. And I heard somebody say this morning, if you think about it, some of the biggest stories in the world are here one day and gone in the next day or two. And we're on to the next story. So what makes you think you're going to be any different? So listen, fam. Remember, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and think. Being prepared eliminates fear, and being aware makes everything clear. It's that man, Taj Jacobs. And I'm out of here. Peace.